Today I'm going to be doing a makeup look inspired by Asami Sato from the Legend of Korra series. And if you're not familiar with the show, she is a character that has a very signature makeup look. She has this beautiful dusty lavender eye and these deep burgundy lips. So that's what I'm going to be trying to recreate today. And even if you're not a fan of the show or the character, I think that this is a very wearable and achievable look. So stay tuned if you want to see me put it on my face. Also, hi, my name is Nupur and I love indie makeup and all things color and sparkle. And I would really appreciate it if you gave this video a like and considered subscribing to me to support me. It means the world to me. Also, leave a comment down below if you have seen this show or if you're a fan of the original Avatar show. And also, as an Avatar fan, I am very excited about the new show that the creators are bringing to us, and I'm very curious to see where the story goes. In regards to this look, I have been wanting to do this look for so long. I have always loved Asami's makeup in the show, and I just adore her as a character too, but I always felt that this look, if you're not familiar with my content, I have mostly only done short form content before coming to YouTube, and I always felt that this look was a little too simple somehow for short form content. Like, who would want to watch me just throw on some mattes on my eyes and a burgundy lip? But something about the artistry behind the look and how it makes me feel and how I want to choose the products to fit this look felt so right for long form content. So I'm really, really excited to dive into it. And I was actually thinking about how for some reason, when people think about purple eyes and red lips, they immediately associate it with Jessica Rabbit, but I feel like her makeup is a bit more, I don't know, it's more bold, and that's not to say that Asami's look is not bold, but there's a certain softness to it, versus I feel like with Jessica Rabbit, who is more of an overt icon, you know, there's just a little bit of a difference there. And her colors are more of like a brighter purple and a brighter red as well, whereas Asami's I feel like is a touch more muted and the lip is deeper. And the other thing that I was thinking about when I was looking at images of Asami for this, I was reminded of Taylor Swift's look from the Lavender Haze music video. There's this one shot where she's in this water bath or something, and she's turning her head to the side, and she has a lavender lip and a burgundy, or a lavender eye and a burgundy lip, but the eye is glossy. So that is also, I think, a little bit different from Asami's looks, but they're just things that I kept in mind as I was planning this look out. And then the reason that I wanted to do this makeup look now, of all times, is because I also feel like something between the combination of the deep burgundy lip and the more lavender eye really reminds me of transitional season makeup. So we're coming out of winter and into spring, although it is 80 degrees here in LA right now and it's quite warm, but I feel like in this transitional period, I really gravitate towards looks that kind of combine the softer elements of spring makeup with the bolder elements of winter makeup, and I think this look is perfect for that. So I already have my base makeup on, my foundation and my brows and eye primer, a little bit of bronzer. I'll have all the details in the description box, but for this look, I mostly wanted to focus on the eyes, cheeks, and lips. So let me zoom you in and we can get started. So for this look, I'm actually going to be starting with my lip just because it's such a statement lip color, and whenever I know that I'm going to be incorporating that into a look, I like to start with it just to set the tone of the look and build the other color cosmetics off of, because I don't want them to clash with the lip or overwhelm them or anything like that. I'm going to start with lining my lips with MAC's Root For Me lip liner, and I want to talk about this lip liner really quickly because it's become such a fast favorite of mine. I was actually given this by a friend late last year, and this is such a unique tone. I feel like a lot of lip liners that we see on the market, even new releases, are very typical colors that we've seen over and over again because that's what sells, that's what people want. But this is such a unique tone. It's a deep brown, but it has a slightly cool reddish undertone, and I think it'll pair really well with the lipstick that I'm going to use. Here's what the lip liner looks like on unblended, just so you can see the true color of it. And it is a little messy. The lip line is not very good, but I'm going to perfect it in a little bit and also smudge it out. So what I like to do is do this. Bring the lip liner in a little bit and just soften the inner edges, and then I'll go back and apply another layer on top to deepen the outer line again. I am someone who really relies on lip liner. You'll almost never catch me using a lip product without a lip liner in conjunction with it, just because my lips are slightly uneven. So My top lip is a little lower over here than the one on this side, and even on the bottom, it's less noticeable on the bottom, but that's why I really always need lip liner, especially with really deep lipsticks like this, just to make a more perfected lip line. For lipstick, I'm going to be using MAC's Diva, which is in their Silky Matte formula, and this is just a little baby tube, it's their mini tube, just because I didn't want to buy a full size because I'm not going to go through it, but I think that this shade is going to be the perfect fit for Asami's lip color because it's a deep red, and you could argue that it's more maroon or oxblood, but I think a burgundy lip is going to work a lot better, and it's probably what she actually has on, just because burgundy has more purple in it than a maroon or oxblood would, and that's going to tie in a lot better with the dusty lavender eye. The other reason that I wanted to pair Diva with the Root For Me lip liner is you can see that now that it's on my lips, it's a lot darker than it looked in this swatch over here, and I think that this is a beautiful shade on its own, but it's a little too light for what I'm going for the Asami look, and in conjunction with Root For Me, it's a lot more suitable. Now we can move on to the eyes, and Asami's eye look is actually quite simple, and I think that's what makes it pair so well with this deep lip. And what she has on is usually a dusty lavender, but it has so much pigment and vibrancy to it, even though it's a dusty lavender. And part of that is the fact that she's an animated character. But when I was thinking about what I wanted to use to create this dusty lavender, I knew that powder mattes would make it harder for me to achieve that vibrancy while keeping it dusty. So enter Mauve Cream Clay eyeshadows. I think that I'm primarily going to use this shade over here, and this is shade M111. I can never remember the numbers or names, the numbers of the eyeshadows, but I think that this might actually be a little too dusty for the look that I'm going for. So in order to add a bit more of that punchiness and vibrancy, I'm going to mix it with this shade over here, M83, and I think together they will create the exact shade that I'm looking for. This is going to be a little hard for me to do on camera, but I'm going to try. I'm going to scoop out a little bit of this shade, and then I'm going to put it on this plate over here. I might have to just do this off camera, actually. Okay, I got the tiniest amount of that over there. It doesn't look like much, but that's really all I'm going to need as a base. And then I'm going to scoop out a little bit of that other shade and mix it into this. Okay, I have two of the shades over there, and I'm just going to use my finger and mix those together and see what shade we get. I really like the shade that I got, so I'm just gonna go with that and apply this to my lids. Let me zoom you in a bit more so you can see it better. So I already have eye primer on. I have the Milani eye primer on specifically, but I know a lot of people don't like to use eye primer with cream shadows, and especially the Mauve Cream Clays, but I find that it actually does help aid with longevity and it helps avoid creasing, so I like to use eye primer with the cream clays. Really quickly, now that I have some pigment on, the way that I do my eye tutorials is I'm going to be showing you the application on this eye, my right eye, but I'll already have the step that I'm currently doing finished on this eye. That way you can see as I'm applying what the end goal is. So I still have that cream clay mixture on this finger, and I'm just going to go in and tap that on, get the bulk of the pigment on my mobile lid, and I don't want to put too much on because that will definitely lead to creasing. So I'm actually going to tap a little bit off this eye, get some of the pigment off with a fresh finger. Now I'm going to take this brush. This one's from Artitude Cosmetics, and it's their brush number 5 from the blending brush set that came out with the Ink and Roses collection. And it doesn't need to be this brush. It can be any synthetic domed blending brush. That's all I look for blending out cream clay eyeshadows. So what I do is I start blending out this pigment because there is quite a thick layer since I used my finger to apply it, and so I just start feathering it out slowly and getting the pigment to cover my entire lid. Once I'm happy with feathering that out, then I start to work it into the crease because I want the lightest layer of pigment here in the crease just to again help avoid any creasing. And the Mauve Cream Clays sometimes crease a little bit on me if I've worn them all day and if it's a very hot day and things like that, but I am going to set them with powder, and that usually helps avoid most of the creasing. You see why I wanted to use the cream clays for this eye, because it's still a little muted, but there's so much pigment and vibrancy to it still, and that's exactly what I was going for. I'm dipping back in for a little bit more pigment, not too much, and I'm tapping it back onto my lid to re-intensify the purple where we lost some of the pigment while blending out. Now to set the cream clays, I'm going to be tapping into this loose translucent setting powder from Dermablend. I actually heard about this powder from Courtney Quarantine, and they were saying that this is one of the most matte setting powders, and it really locks in the cream clay so that they don't budge, and I do find that to be pretty true. This is one of the most matte powders I've used, and it really helps to set down the cream clays. You can see them tapping the powder in and not doing swiping motions because tapping it in, well, swiping it in will tend to disturb the product underneath and move it around versus tapping it in, which is really getting the powder in there. The other thing that I do specifically for my eye shape, but I think this can apply to other eye shapes too, is I will really lift my lids up like this and really get the powder into the folds where creasing will tend to happen. And you should never blend your eyeshadows doing this because it'll distort what it looks like when you relax your eye. But specifically for this step, I do like to do this just to make sure I'm getting powder everywhere. So this part I am adapting to my preferences in my eye shape because Asami has a pretty bare lower lash line, but I don't feel comfortable with the bare lower lash line, so I'm going to dip into this shade from the Diveroon Smitten palette and just run it along my lower lash line. I'm just doing the tiniest amount though because I don't want to deviate too much from the original look. It's just that my eyes are quite round and I just feel a little naked without something on my lower lash line. So sometimes looks don't go according to plan, and I actually think I want a bit more pigment and vibrancy to this eye than what I'm seeing right now. So I pulled out my Bella Beauté Bar Basic Witch palette and I'm going to tap into this shade over here very lightly and see if that can bring a little bit more brightness to the eye. You can see that I've already done the other eye and that is definitely the effect that I'm going for. And this is what I love about the Mauve Cream Clays is you can use them as a base as well for many looks. So even if they don't quite do the thing that you want them to do, you can always layer other stuff on top. And because I have that base down, I really only need the lightest dusting of this powder to get what I am actually going for. I definitely kept most of the pigment on my mobile lid and then just dusted whatever was left in the brush outwards into the crease. So I can't tell if Asami actually has some eyeliner going on or if it's just the effect from her lashes kind of fluttering outwards. And I'm not someone who wears lashes anyways, mostly because I'm allergic to every lash glue that I've tried. But I think that adding lashes to this look would be really great to give the full Asami effect. But for me, I'm just going to do a bit of eyeliner and do mascara, and I'm going to do that off camera because I'm not comfortable doing that on camera. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. I'm kidding, I'm back without doing mascara because I finished doing the eyeliner and I did it with a powder eyeshadow. I actually used this shade also from the Basic Witch palette. This is the Black Cat shade, and I really like this shade specifically for this eye look because this is not a straight matte black, it's actually more of a deep plum, and I feel like that works really well with the more pastel-y eye because I don't want to use a black and overwhelm it, because one of the things that I love about this look is the contrast between how deep and bold the lip is and how soft and light and airy the eye is, and I just feel like using a liquid liner would overwhelm that eye look. And then the other reason I wanted to use the Black Cat shade is because it's a powder eyeshadow and not a liquid eyeliner. That also allows me to do a really soft wing. You can see I kind of like feathered it out here and it's not very sharp or bold, which is what you would get from a liquid liner, and that's a vibe. But again, with this eye look, I just want a very, very soft eye. I'm back with my mascara actually done this time, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror right now and I just really wish that I could wear lashes because I just think having even like a half lash at the edge or some clusters would help with like that fluttery effect that she has in like the way that she's drawn. And my eyes are so round that they really don't fit with how her eye shape is more elongated, but that's partially why I also wanted to do a winged eyeliner, was just to help elongate my eyes as much as possible. So now the final step is the blush, and when I am looking at the way that she is drawn, she doesn't have much blush going on, and even translating an animated character to a real life person, I think having too strong of a blush shade would compete too much with the eyes and lips, and so I want to keep it pretty toned down and muted. So what I'm going to use is this What's Up Beauty Cheek Tear blush in, yeah, it's a cheek tear blush, and this is the shade Relax Roma, which I really like the formula of these blushes. They are a baked marbled pan, but I'm pretty disappointed with the blush range that the brand launched their blushes with, because this is the third out of fourth shades. This is the third deepest shade, and it just barely shows up on my skin tone. So I really don't think that the blush line is very inclusive, and I want to see them expand this to more shades just because the formula is so nice. Since it is a marbled pan and you're going to get a slightly different effect depending on where you put your brush, I'm going to try to swirl my brush in the pan a good amount and then tap it off, and then use just this amount of pigment for both of my cheeks. I'm actually going to tap off some of it because I think I took too much, and you can even see there was barely any pigment there, but when I apply it to my cheeks, hopefully you can see it's just a light wash of color. I'm going to apply it to my other cheek. I probably should have went back and forth between the two because I was trying to use just one dip in the pan for both cheeks. But I think you can see here that it's just like a soft wash of color. And what I love so much about this formula is it looks pretty matte in the pan, but there is a slight sheen to it without there ever being shimmer, and I think that's something that can only really be achieved with baked formulas. So I had a last minute idea, and I'm going completely off book here because this is most certainly not part of her makeup look, but this is something that I really love about doing inspired looks is you take the source material and then you adapt it to your features, your preferences, and all of that stuff. And when I'm looking at this photo of Asami, I see that she has green eyes, which I certainly don't, and I don't have contacts. So what I want to do is add a bit of a green inner corner highlight. I'm going to use the Clionadh Fruit Lighter in the shade Tangy, and this is a beautiful green highlighter, and it's got like a sheer gray base, which I don't enjoy using these as a face highlighter because I'm just not much of a face highlighter person, let alone a colorful face highlighter person, but these make such good inner corner shades or like topper shades. Here's a swatch of it so you can see what it looks like, and it's got this beautiful green glow and a bit of a dimensional feel to it because there are multicolored sparkles in it, but you can see when I turn it away from the light that there's a bit of a cast to it. So if you're a lot lighter, I don't know if this would necessarily even work as a face highlighter. And for once in my life, I'm actually not going to swoop this up towards the crease because I don't want to add too much of the shade and I just want it to be in the inner corner. Here's the final look, and I for one am pretty thrilled with how it turned out, even if it's not the most faithful adaptation of Asami's makeup, because like I mentioned previously, I am a strong believer that you can take source material, inspiration, and turn it into, you can make it your own thing. And I think that that is so beautiful. But let me know what you thought and whether you are a fan of the show. I, for one, feel like I am due for a rewatch, especially with the new show coming up. We still haven't heard details about when it's going to be released or anything like that, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it's the perfect excuse to do a rewatch of both the original Avatar show as well as Legend of Korra. As always, please don't forget to give this video a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already subscribed. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!